There's this research group, a team of researchers that have been focused on Lake County. Then they selected Lake County to research the impacts of cascading hazards. With all that Lake County's faced in the last decade, you can see why.
That is Leah Sautelet, the manager of the Lake County Office of Emergency Services, our guest this time, with some exciting news that our community is on the cutting edge of wildfire research. Join us in just a moment for a closer look at what OES is all about and what's going on over there. I'm Bill Grudy with Fire Talk from the Konocti Fire Safe Council. Before we go any further, though, it has been a big week at the KFSC. We want to give a big shout out to the Lake County Wine Alliance. They've given us a generous donation going towards our Firescape project at the Eli Stage Stop. Karen and John Knoll have been shepherding that project along with the folks at the Stage Stop Historic Park, the Clear Lake Trowel and Trellis Club, Kelseyville Rotary, and students from Kelseyville High School. It's really a broad-based community effort. We'll have much more to say about this project on this program later on and on the Konocti Fire Safe Council website, konoctifiresafe.org. But right now, it's all about emergency services. We'll start our conversation in just a moment.
Your family is your legacy. Planning for a natural disaster will make sure you're all safe. Visit ready.gov/plan today for the tools and tips you need to protect that legacy. That's ready.gov/plan. A message brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
I'm Bill Grudy, and joining me today in this segment is Leah Sautelet, who is the Emergency Services Manager here in Lake County. And welcome. It's great to be chatting with you.
Thank you.
I always start off these things because I think people want to know a little bit about the folks we're talking with. How did you come to Lake County, and how did you get involved with OES?
All right. Well, thank you for having me here. I'm excited to be here and talk to you today. I joined this sheriff's office last January 2022. I've lived in Lake County for about 20 years, and I came more from like a career in tribal government. So I have a strong health and human services background that intermixed with disaster management and emergency management.
So what is your job here at OES?
My job here, the title, like you said, is Emergency Services Manager. I am one of two staff members in the office full-time dedicated to emergency management. I work under the Director of Emergency Services, who is the Sheriff, and the Deputy Director of Emergency Services, who is a Lieutenant. They both have multiple roles within the agency, so we're here, myself and then OES specialist day-to-day, full-time. Blue skies, we're doing a lot of planning and preparing and getting ready for anything that might pop up. And then when there's any kind of an emergency, I will probably talk a lot about wildfire today, but because that's usually the most common. But we're an all hazards agency, so we're monitoring and ready to respond.
One of the big tasks at the Konocti Fire Safe Council, of course, is helping people find credible sources of information, and as our system stands right now, where do you think the best place is, for somebody out there who just is confused about where do I go to find out just the basics of how to build a fire-resilient environment to which to live and how to think about responding in the event of an emergency?
Lake County has a lot of great resources out there, but I'll speak from our end of things. We've taken a lot of time to develop our website and social media. Our website is lakesheriff.com/about/OES. It's kind of lengthy. We're working on that. But once you get there, you'll find several sub-menus, preparedness topics, links to other, like the Fire Safe Council. I don't know if we have you guys on there yet, but we'll check that. Ready.gov. We're trying to build a comprehensive one-stop shop for people. But also, we don't want to miss the opportunity to say, sign up for Lake Co-Alerts. That's obviously emergency information, but it's number one to start with your preparing and where to go for information that's accurate.
How do you feel about apps like Watch Duty? I know, we hear mixed stories from different sheriff's departments. Some really embrace it and some have issues with it. And what's your take on, quote, civilian, apps like that?
There's a lot of resources out there where people can get different kinds of information. And so the thing to keep in mind is the type of information that the app or the source is giving you. If you get the Lake Co Alert, you're getting accurate, verified emergency information. What people sometimes want, though, is the in-between details, and apps like Watch Duty provide that. They have volunteers monitoring like scanner chatter, and they'll put it right out. So it's important to keep in mind that it won't always be official information coming off channels like that, and it should be more for your awareness in a sense.
Yeah, which brings me to another big problem that we face in the Soda Bay Road corridor, and I think in Lake County at large, is that huge numbers of people in our service area simply are not engaged with apps or electronically or digitally at all. Have you at OES given some thought as to how do you reach out to those people? I mean, we've been out knocking on doors, which is about as primitive as you can get. But how do you, what's your advice to somebody who may be listening to this or read a press release about this, or how do we reach out to those folks? What have you learned, and what are you employing?
That is an ongoing, constant conversation, and it's one that I thought when I started here that we would get a simple answer to it and then address it and fix it and fill that gap, but that's just not the way it works. So it really takes collaborative efforts of all types of agencies and entities involved, and you bring up a great point about your Konocti Fire Safe Council and how the work that you guys have done, boots on the ground in your community. So at our level, we're constantly trying to see what we can do. And I know in the times of extreme emergency, we may set up trap lines, which would be message boards in the community. But that's not always possible, not always efficient. So we're always looking for ways to work with non-tech information.
Yeah, just comprehensively. Have you given any thought to like maybe seminars of, number one, how to use your phone? Because a lot of folks have phones. They just don't use them for much beyond making calls. How to use your phone, just where else to get information of. We do events and people say, yes, you need to sign up for the alerts and you need to do all that. But some people just don't understand how to do it. We do go out. I don't think that we've done that specifically, but we do go out into the community. We go to as many community events as we can and that we get invited to and have staff for. And we'll sit there one-on-one with individuals that happen by that event to help them register, help them understand what the alert and warning tools are, which is Lake Co-Alerts and Genesis Protect, and how to use them. It's really just an ongoing, and it's got to be in the community on up. That we all work together to help each other. We really encourage everybody to work with their neighbors. It's just not a one-stop, one of us can do it. We all have to work together for it. So at this point, given the state of technology and where you are, what's the most efficient way for somebody, what's the most efficient way to stay informed and stay up to date? First, if you're a Lake County resident, is to sign up for Lake Co-Alerts. If you're somehow another county resident, every county has alert and warning, so find yours and sign up for it. Ours is an Everbridge platform that we use. You can sign up and have up to 5 addresses that you get notified on, and you get notified on your cell phone, your landline, text, email, whatever you sign up for, multiple methods. Second is to know your zone. Here in Lake County, we use Genesis Protect for zone identification. It was formerly called Zone Haven. It's very important to look that up and know it ahead of time, because the first responders are using that to more quickly and more efficiently get the Lake Co-Alert out. In the old ways of doing it, they'd have to open up a map and map out the area for evacuating, look at their addresses, look at all the information. It might take some amount of time, a little longer than it does now. Today we can use the zone and say this whole zone or this half a zone and go or be aware or shelter in place or whatever the incident may require. Yeah, and I think what we've found, it's also important for people to know their adjoining zones. Yes, and to know if something is going on around you, And to understand how the zones work. So we have put some of that online, and I'm working on developing more, but probably don't want to get too far into that today, but the zones are labeled and numbered in a way that if you happen to live in, say, Upper Lake and you get a zone for CLO, then that's Clear Lake Oaks. You can know it's not near you. I just wanted to shift a little bit into planning. Headway Transportation is now putting together this evacuation plan for the Soda Bay Road corridor. I'm just, and people often ask, well, what is the value of that plan? So perhaps you can help us to understand what are some of the tangible effects that we can expect from a document like that. How will it improve potentially the quality of your operations and the quality of the resiliency that the community is able to build?
Well, I keep going back to it. I think it's one of those projects that brings the community together, and the community being the individual resident all the way up to emergency management and first responders. So for this particular project, we're getting a shared understanding, community, household member, on up of what our roles are. Yours, mine, theirs, everybody's. And I think we're going to get some good improvement projects out of the plan that they're developing, but mostly it's those understanding those roles and the limitations and each person's or each entity's responsibility there.
Do you see a plan like this helping you to bring some more money to bear on the situations that we face?
We can always hope. Sometimes our funding sources are limited, but definitely taking the time to do the planning, this type included, can definitely help when there's something that becomes available, because we've already taken that time to say, here's where the problems are, here's where the solutions are. Now we need XYZ money to do this solution, or we need this next step. So it can definitely be helpful.
What are the goals of OES? Looking down the road, back up to the 30,000 foot, where does the office expect to be in 5-10 years down the road?
5 to 10 years. So we are, if I can go backwards a little bit, we have a strategic plan that's posted on our website, where we're really trying to, one of our projects has been to look at the what is the word? Emergency Management Accreditation Program. Not sure that we'll go full onto that in the next 5 or 10 years, but we have started assessing where our program is according to those standards, so that when there's areas that are lacking, we can bring it up to those standards, with or without the future accreditation. I don't know if we're going to go that far. We're working on updating our plans, and so by the 5 to 10 year mark, or 2 to 6 year mark, we'll be in a position where we have user-friendly emergency operations plans, hazard mitigation plan, and others, and we can take a deeper look at what's next after that, including more evacuation plans like the Soda Bay Corridor one, and then from there implementing a more regular and varied exercise program, exercising the plans within the community. I don't know if we've mentioned it already, but emergency management is response, recovery, preparing, and mitigation. So really just taking a deeper look at each of those and what our role is there. And really, I think an important one that we've started and we have to continue for the years ahead is the ending the silos in the county between agencies, resources, community members, and we'll just continue that work. Yeah,
that sort of leads me to my next thought, which is, what are some of the biggest challenges that you face in the here and now?
I think, obviously, in the moment, the incident can whatever incident may come up, it has its own challenges. But overall, generally speaking, we have a staff of 2 to serve the whole county. We do the same work that other counties may do with a staff of 20. Other counties have less staff. It really varies, but we all have the same work to get done. And then specific to Lake County, again, we just have so many great focused resources and services out there, but we have very little, or maybe not very little, but not enough collaboration, and we've got walls up between different entities.
I think that's always been a challenge up here, and I don't know whether it's just that we're separated by this body of water, which is beautiful and yet challenging. But trying to bring people together, I found over the years that I've been here that it's tough to do.
It really
is. It's tough to do. People do come up here to be independent.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you travel around the county and meet people in the various events that you do, what about people's base of knowledge? How would you assess their overall knowledge about about dealing with emergencies, and what are some of the, just from an information point of view, what are some of the biggest challenges there?
Well, as we're both fully aware, Lake County got hit hard in the last 10 years or so with wildfires, and we've kind of found that in a way that's increased a little bit of the preparedness, but in another way it really hasn't. So despite what we feel like, we've gone out in the community and done a lot, because like I said, we're at all kinds of community events. We have booths set up. We welcome phone calls to sign up for alert and warning. There's not always, we haven't reached enough. And that again goes back to this collaboration, like with you guys, with the Conocta Fire Safe Council and other entities, that we haven't reached enough of the population to get them ready to be prepared.
Yeah, and I know we find that when we're out and about, that folks, they don't understand, for example, the value of a plan. They say, well, it's Soda Bay Road. You go right, you go left. What do we need a plan for? They don't understand whether they're resistant just to technology, resistance to signing up. It's just very challenging to bring them up to speed about why it's important. Now, fortunately, we've had a couple of years with light fire incident
knock
rates,
on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood. Have you been able to do some planning during that time? Have you been able to? Has the office been able to use that time? And maybe you could tell us some of the things that are going on.
We are, and I think this kind of sums up a few of the questions that you've asked today. We're working on some grant applications, really to try to reach the community that is not tech savvy. But I wanted to bring up too, before we move too far off this last question, there's this research group, a team of researchers that have been focused on Lake County. They come from about 6 different universities. The chief of police from Sacramento is involved. Lake County's been involved, and they selected Lake County to research the impacts of cascading hazards. And with all that Lake County's faced in the last decade, you can see why. But they have actually gone out and done pretty comprehensive Penn State survey, and found that a lot of the respondents to the survey have what their barriers are to preparing and planning. And I think that one of the things that we should bring up is that it's not always necessary to have an abundance of finances to be planning and preparing. There's a lot that you can do as a household, at all income levels, just to be a little bit more prepared and a little bit more ready to go.
Are you getting data in from Penn at this point, or are you still waiting for it? And it would be wonderful to learn, just what they're finding, because I think that could be very valuable to groups like ours.
Yes, they've done great work. As of August, their data was all raw. So they're compiling it and doing whatever they do in the research world to get us some results, and it definitely will be out there for all of us to use. And their plan too is to follow up with the same respondents in about 6 months or so, and kind of see where things have changed. They're really looking at the emotional impact of living in a disaster-prone area.
When can we expect the first tranche of data to come out?
I hope anytime. So, like I said, the raw data was done in August, so they're working. So hopefully within the next few months. That team also, if you are curious, they have like about a 4 or 5 prong approach into their work. Mm-hmm. So they're also monitoring for landslide and trying to develop technology that will better predict landslides post-fire. They are also looking, and they actually developed, I just gave a talk last weekend to a group of teachers in Lake County and a couple from Mendocino, where this research team developed curriculum specific to Lake County students to help them prepare and kind of be more resilient for what they've already experienced in their younger years. And then they're also, I think I'm missing the main point of their research. But anyways, it's pretty fascinating. Yeah. We post about it on our social media.
How often do they come up here? Is it a continuing thing?
It's been ongoing. They come for an annual meeting once a year, and then they do different things. They've had focus groups, so a couple of them of the team may be in county several times a year, but all together they come up once a year.
And how long is this going to go?
Ooh, I think they were initially funded, I maybe shouldn't quote it, but I think for 4 years, and they just were working on another application to continue into more avenues.
That's fascinating.
It is.
Yeah. It is. Well, about time to wrap up, and maybe just one way to leave it would be one simple thing that a listener could take away right away and implement right now to help start their path toward fire resiliency?
My one simple thing is a list. Sign up for alert and warning, know your zone, talk to your neighbors, pack a bag, and just be ready to go or be ready to stay if there's a power outage.
Leah Sautelet, Emergency Services Manager, Lake County. Thank you so much for joining us on Fire Talk.
Thank you very much.
Fire Talk is produced by the Konocti Fire Safe Council. We are available wherever you get your podcasts, so leave us a rating or review. It'll help people find us. We are here at least once a month and more often if circumstances warrant. Until next time, I'm Bill Grudy. Stay safe.